Hi, Andy. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for joining me this call. I know like you have a busy schedule and coming to this show for my audiences, I really appreciate. So coming to the point of today's topic, we're gonna discussing how business can focus on the people rather than everything else. The people is the most important part for a business. So before we get to
yeah,
that topic, I'd love to know more about yourself. Like how did you end up being an entrepreneur yourself, your story?
yeah. So my experience really the last sort of 15 years is since I left school, I went sort of more or less straight into a leadership role in basically in retail that was, and very quickly rose up the ranks within a matter of months. And from there, I sort of started to learn about leadership and interacting with people and how we can influence people in different ways and how people are
Mhm.
react differently to different leadership styles and techniques. But from there, I went into the private sector, into construction as a building surveyor. So that was what I qualified as, and then into actually ended up in government for a while, working
Right.
in the public sector before I got into having my own cafe. And yeah, so my auntie, she fell ill, and I ended up. She offered me the reins as such. Okay, and basically that's how I got into hospitality, and certainly that's my background now. I'm focusing really on hospitality leadership, but the
Yeah.
joys with leadership skills is, and or certainly the knowledge and the approach to leadership is, it's not specific to hospitality. It's relevant to every single industry, which is the joy of working almost as a leadership specialist.
Mhm.
So but yeah, anyway, so we about a year ago we sold the cafe, and then from there I thought, well, how can we start helping people? We were looking at a different location. I sort of, how can we start helping people in the industry start to think differently about how they run their business, how they approach their people, and really, it was that's where the podcast started. So I've got a podcast called The Cafe Hustle, which is
Okay.
focusing very much on hospitality businesses, um, and very much there's a leadership theme to that as well, because personally I believe in the power of leadership. So anyway, yeah, that started as just having conversations, trying to share stories with people, and that is now that was my full-time job now, is talking on the podcast with people, and we've got coaching in the background
Yeah.
of that, and one-to-one group coaching, online courses, etc. So but it's really all about how we can help the people who specifically are in hospitality at the minute, and how we can help them lead their people better.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great journey you had. So over the last few years, like the experience you had working and building your businesses, like you seen like people come first when you're trying to build a business or building it like a big organization. So how do you define like how people come first? Like we always like tend to focus on like a product or the services we're trying to make the better, and also focusing on like a system in place.
Yeah.
But with coming to the today's topic, we're gonna focusing on like people. So how do you come up with like a people first? How do you put them first?
Yeah. I think really it all starts with our purpose. And really, I know we hear a lot of people talking about mission, vision, and values, and
Yeah.
I generally tend to flip that on the head, because what that does by saying it in those that order is that our mission comes first, and really I'm of the philosophy actually our mission is driven by our values. So we as businesses, whether you're an individual like I am now at the minute with our business,
Yeah.
or whether you are have a business of 500 people, you need to have a solid values, mission, and vision. And that's how I start it off. It always starts off with values, so that we can not only just have a list of words that embody what we do as an organization, but it actually extends further than that and gives examples of what that means to embody those values. And then obviously that supports your mission and your vision and your purpose, your overall purpose for a
Yeah.
business. Now, when it comes to thinking about our people, and certainly from a hospitality standpoint, our people are the interaction with our customers. And our
Yeah.
customers are what are obviously, we need the repeat business, we need them to keep coming back. But by extension, that actually extends into everything that we do in any business. So if you've got a product, for example, if you're able to put your people first, empower your people and get them working as best they can on either developing the product or the sales side. Again, every business is a people business
Yeah.
generally. I know there's some that aren't, but the happier that your people are, that then reflects in the interactions wherever that is with your customers. And really it's all about aligning your people with your purpose and letting them see where they fit into that greater purpose that we have as an organization.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've been in the industry for 8 years in the hospitality. I worked in a restaurant. I owned my own takeaway around the 3.5 years. And yeah, like a customer base, like if you are doing a service base, like it may not doing it like every day, but with restaurant and cafe, they probably come 2, 3 times in a week, and you see them
Yeah.
seeing people and you interacting. Some of them like you become your best friends because the services you provided and the communication you had. So yeah, like a people centric, and also like when you work in the hospitality, like you have to interact with the staff more. If you're working in a
Yeah.
kitchen or like even the making a coffee, like you always on a teammates and the people come first because all the time interaction is happening. Where compared to like if you work in a call center, you talking to the people at the same time, but with your teammates is not that often. Probably in a break, you're gonna see
Yeah.
them in the office, you're working. So yeah, what core thing like you see like having them kind of relationship built with your customer or your clients? How do you build a kind of relationship where they can be loyal with your brand or like stay with you for a longer term?
I think in terms of building that relationship, what we've got to remember is we're not, so certainly taking the coffee industry
Yeah.
or coffee shop industry as an example, we aren't selling great coffee.
Mm,
We're not selling great cakes or whatever food product you have in the background. And this example will extend to any industry. We're selling the experience that people have. Now, when we talk about brand,
yeah.
I define brand as the feeling that people get when they think about your business, whether that's an interaction with an advert, whether it's an interaction in person with your people, whether it's just sitting down in your coffee shop or in your business,
Mm,
your brand has to come through in that experience. If you're interacting on in digital media, whether it's on social media or, you know, some other element of digital interaction, your brand has to come through. And that experience that you're selling
yeah.
has to really be reflected in that brand. And it's a different, even if you're selling a product, it's as an Amazon seller. So say, for example, you sell drills. We're not selling drills. We're selling holes in wood. And it's trying to think of it in that way. So think beyond the product, not just
Right.
thinking, oh, we've got to make this product as great as it can be. Like certainly with our staff, it was all about how can we maximize that experience? How can we make that person's day, not only by giving them the best quality coffee, the best foamed milk in that coffee, we think beyond that. And this is where, when you start to do that with your people, they then start to see the business differently. They start to see it from the customer's eyes, which is really quite important when it comes to getting people who are working for you, who are able to vision what the customer sees. The product then improves beyond, and the service improves beyond what even your training and your intention really is. So coming back to your question, how do we get that loyalty? It all comes down to that experience and making sure that that experience that that customer has is the best that it could possibly be, and empowering your
Yeah.
staff to get to take it to that level.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that really actually works out. Like I seen that in my organization when I was running like a similar way you just said. It's just to bring, you have to like put them in the first place. At the same time, like I see like a lot of problem happens in our hospitality business, either either a restaurant or like a cafe you're running. There are a lot of negative customers there. Like you can't really actually make everyone happy. They
Yeah.
criticize and everything. So how do someone like can go about like keep them happy as well without like ruining your brand or reputation? Because right now they can go on social media, post one negative review, and that actually hurts your business really well because everyone checks out before they go to the cafe, go to the restaurant. They're gonna see the review about the company or customer. So obviously, 88% of them customers are loyal and they're loving your brand and
Yeah,
everything. But 12% of them probably have them kind of hate, and people actually tend to see that rather than all of 88% of the time.
absolutely.
So how do you manage that kind of negativity when it comes to like online abuse or like hate or some certain customers like they have a genuine reason, like probably they didn't get the best service, didn't get the best food. So how do you go about that?
So I take my inspiration. It's going to sound really strange, this, but you look at what Disney does and the experience that they provide. It's and like for most families, if they're heading to Florida to visit Disney, it's a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime experience. And Disney are acutely aware that that is the case. Now, don't get me wrong; they're dealing with huge sums of money
Mm.
beyond what a customer of a coffee shop would spend. So, but then when well, if you look at the lifetime value of a customer, then it may not actually be too far off, over the life of that customer. Anyway, where I'm coming from with Disney is they empower their staff to make the guests experience, even if it's a negative one,
Yeah.
right. So, for example, I remember listening to an interview and they were talking about their staff have the ability to spend up to £1,000 per customer, or $1,000 it was per customer, to make the experience right. So, one the example I heard was if their dress, if a girl's dress was she fell over and got covered with mud, any of the employees of that business of Disney have the power to go and get a replacement dress for that child.
Mm.
Now, there's controls and that in place over £1,000. They can spend more if they need to. It's like, and again, another example, if a camera is in the hotel room and it goes missing, they'll replace it free of charge because they think of it from an experiential point of view. And coming
Right.
back to your question, it's the same with people come into our coffee shops, certainly, and we don't know their background. We don't know what they've been through that day. We don't know what trouble they've been through. And we need to make sure that our staff or our team members, they think in that way as well. So they're coming from their interaction. It's almost about having that empathy
Yeah.
with that person, understand that they may not have, it might not be that they're just an unhappy person. They might have something else going on. And certainly in our coffee shop, we gave the power for our team members to either even give one coffee away free. It's, don't get me wrong, we had a limit of £15. If there was something wrong with someone's order, empowering your staff like that and giving them the responsibility to deal with customers like that, it does like I say, it empowers them. They trust you as a leader more because you're putting the
Yeah.
trust in them. They then grow as a person, but more importantly, they're the people that are dealing with these people face to face. So they are then they're in power to then make that person's day better. Now that only cuts off some of the source. Granted, I know you're talking about
Mm.
the online element, and there is a lot of people that will come into our coffee shops or whatever business it is, have a bad experience, and then will go on Facebook
Yeah.
and spout about what their experience was. Now, my approach was always that we have to meet this head on. I know a lot of people talk about backing off from the negativity, and certainly from my point of view, I knew that we had our systems in place. We had the ways of dealing with these issues as they arise. So we couldn't do any more than we have done.
Yeah.
Yes, there might be issues with that I wasn't aware of in terms of service. And it's all about, again, how can we make their experience? They've left our business, they've gone online. How can we then make their experience better in one way or another? And very often I would try and meet them with some element of compensation. And yes, it's not necessarily only about dealing with that customer, but it's that visibility of how we as a business deal with our customers, full stop. So there's countless examples of people who will, yes, they've had a bad review, but then the business then comes back with more negativity, and then there's a back and forth of some sort of argument.
Yeah.
And as a customer, you look at that and you go, well, this is their interaction with a customer. So really, you have to take these on the chin generally, and
Mm.
the majority of them are genuine from that person's perspective. Yes, there's an element of some that are malicious and they're just trying to get something out of the business, and that happens. And we have to, it's like we had an example of that in our coffee shop, and knowing that actually really it wasn't our fault, but we still did it anyway. We still went
Right.
that extra mile. And I know it's a long way around to the answer to your question, but it is, you have to meet it like it on face value, that it is a genuine complaint. And doing that, your reputation in terms of your customer interaction grows, because other people see that. They see how
Yeah.
you deal with the people who aren't actually completely happy with what you do.
Yeah, totally agree. And sometimes like you have to leave a uh, post on like a review. You can reply them like a saying like we can make it better, or like apologize. So that would be
Yeah.
like a great way to move as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing worse, and I speak to business owners about this all the time. There's nothing
Yeah.
worse than ignoring it, and that this thing
Mm.
falls into empty space, because really that person who's complaining is actually after, they want to connect with you, although not face to face, because they
Yeah.
would have done it in the shop. They're looking for a connection, a response, and if they don't get it, there's every chance that that will reoccur.
Yeah.
And again, other people see that. They're doing that for some sort of element of connection, and it's our job as business owners or business
Mm.
operators to serve that, and to serve it in the right way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so like customer, I can put on a first pedestal of our conversations, then come like a second layer of people, which is like our employees. So running a coffee shop or restaurant, like you need a lot of employees, team manager, and lot so on. So how do we have like a better relationship with them, so our value, core value of like mission of the brand and everything aligns with it, and stay happy and give like a best service possible to our guest, like as a customer.
So in terms of as leaders, as our interaction with our teams is really important. And I think a lot of times that in any business, in any industry, that really falls short of what people expect. And we have to remember that disappointment is the gap between expectation and reality.
Mm.
So it's our job as leaders to increase the level of the reality to be closer to their expectations. The first thing I tell people is, and it's the easiest thing to do, is one, spend more time with your teams, be there with them, serve with them, get into doing some of the job that they're doing. So you,
Yeah.
one, have more of an appreciation of their position. But the most important thing is to actually ask them, what do they need? What do they need to do their jobs? Or what do they need to make their life easier? And what that does is that, one, they feel like they've got a voice, and they're being heard.
Yeah.
And that only comes when you actually do something. There's so many leaders that they're all they talk about everything that they do, but action never really follows. And that's where really, when I'm coaching people, that's really the crux of what we have to do, is that action side. And like I say, this is an easy first step, to ask people what they need. And as soon as you start to act on that information you have, which is really valuable, like
Yeah.
these are your frontline people, these are delivering that service, they're delivering your product, you have access to really valuable information there, and it's your job to act on some of it.
Mm.
We can't be expected to give them everything they want, because there's a commercial element that we've got to balance.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to balance that. But I'm, again, of the philosophy that with our people, and if the people are performing at the highest standard and they're fully engaged, that the profits will then follow, because you get more people will keep coming back. They may have come to your coffee shop 3 times a week, they start coming 5 times a week, because the experience is so much better than the coffee shop down the road, or even, I don't know, restaurants now, they're very high up on with their coffee game. And this is the way we've got to think, as certainly hospitality, it is, we'll never get away from face-to-face interaction. I know I was speaking at an event 3 weeks ago, and there was this mobile digital waiter. It was like basically a stack of trays, carries trays on wheels. And I remember speaking to someone, actually, this isn't what our business is about. Our industry really is about that interaction between people. And I keep coming back to, our people are the core of what we do. And by talking to them and listening to what they need in the first instance, implementing some of their ideas, giving them the new milk picture jugs that they need, that they haven't got at the minute, even just doing that is a big step. You're following through on what you say you're going to deliver. They can then start seeing you in a different light. They see you as part of their team. You've been down there, you've served a few drinks with them. And it's all, essentially, it's all about building that connection. And this is what this is starting to do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for like sharing those. So yeah, and you're coming to end of this podcast. It's been a great having a conversation with you on the topic. So those who's listening, if anyone wants to know more about you, your work or your business, where is the best place to find you?
So primarily is Instagram. So it's at the Cafe Hustle podcast. And that's really the main place that we like certainly publish our content there. Certainly reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'm on there as Andy Jones, or the Cafe Hustle you'll find on LinkedIn as well. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. So if you just search for the Cafe Hustle, you'll find us there. And we've also got a website, hopefully launching in the next couple of weeks. That's thecafehustle.com. And yeah, like I say, if anyone has any questions about what we've spoken about today, and feel free to email me at andy@thecafehustle.com. And yeah, I'll just love to connect and talk about leadership and the possibilities that we can do with putting our people first.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I wish you best of luck with your business and your career as well. And thanks for your coming today.
Yeah, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, everyone. So those who are listening, if anyone interested to learn more about Andy, go check him out on his podcast as well. And yeah, visit his social media platforms. Until then, I'll talk to you in the next episode. Take care.